What's up, everybody? How you doing today? It's time for another Talking Comics with me, Riot Agenda. Today's new comic book day, but I decided not to go to the comic book store. I usually go every other week or once a month. Nothing particularly jumped out at me as something that needed to go. So instead, I figured I'd focus on some of my favorite comic books, the ones that I'm collecting. They're kind of ongoing. Maybe they're not number ones or special issues, but just kind of the most current one. So first, we're going to start out with Venom 258. This is kind of a slower issue. If you don't know, Mary Jane has actually been Venom since December of 2025, and this is kind of her big, finally talking with Peter Parker about her being Venom. It was kind of mostly a slow issue, a lot of talking. There was a character died recently in the Marvel comics, in the Venom comic books. Mary Jane's former ex-boyfriend, Paul Rabin. Everybody kind of hates that character. He was almost universally hated in Marvel fandom. I really didn't mind the character, but he became Mary Jane's new boyfriend, so basically everyone hated him because everyone thinks Mary Jane needs to be with Peter Parker. But and a couple events ago, Eddie Brock stopped being Venom. The Venom symbiote had to leave and ended up joining with Mary Jane. Weirdly enough, Eddie Brock ended up joining with Carnage. They are no longer bonded due to the storyline that preceded this one. So there was a big 9-part issue series called Death Spiral. I don't really want to go into that. That was kind of the last big storyline. It was decent. Like, it was mostly death for death reasons and to kind of shake up the Spider-Man, Venom, Carnage universe. So I am actually really enjoying this series. Al Ewing's take on Mary Jane being as Venom has been a lot of fun. Very unexpected, a lot of different directions. I've really enjoyed it. Like I said, this is basically a transition issue, but it did give us mostly Mary Jane's, when she's Venom, she's kind of been looking like your normal muscly bound Venom character. Kind of disguising that it's her. But she's, in this issue, she finally embraced it and has become We Are Venom, which I thought is pretty darn cool. So I definitely recommend these. Like I said, this issue maybe not as the most amazing of them all, but it's a very good series, so I definitely recommend it. And then the other issue I want to talk about was Iron Man. This one's Iron Man 6. Legacy is actually 686, but this is the 6th issue of the newest run from Iron Man, launched a couple months ago. The first arc I wasn't the biggest fan of. AIM, or Advanced Idea Mechanics, are trying to recreate a Tony Stark by kidnapping geniuses, putting them basically in the same situation that Tony Stark was in, and hoping that they can create a new genius that'll be on their side. This issue is completely different. This is kind of a one-shot, as we like to call them. This really doesn't have to do with the previous storyline. It's probably not going to set up any little tidbits for the next storylines, but this is kind of a self-contained issue. I thought it was actually really funny. So it's Melinda May, if anyone knows from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., the TV show. Norman Osborn, Tony Stark, and Spider-Man are all being interrogated for a big dust-up. There is a bit of, the more continuity you know about Iron Man and Norman Osborn and Peter Parker, the better this issue is, but try to recap real quickly. Norman Osborn is no longer evil. He's been good since, I want to say, about 2022, 2023. He got all his sins taken from him, and he's kind of reforming. He stole Iron Man's armor at one point, the Iron Patriot armor, and was running around as Iron Patriot when he was like the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. way back in the 2008-2009. So Tony Stark finds that the Iron Patriot armor was stolen, so he assumes it's Norman Osborn, so he goes crashing in there. Spider-Man was already there trying to get a bagel. Yep. The more you read of this, you'll understand that, but it was basically a big giant throwdown between the three heroes over some misunderstandings. A lot of funny stuff. Surprise villain showed up. It was actually a Ghost, who everyone might know from the Thunderbolts movie and from the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie. Overall, this was just a lot of fun. Some wacky hijinks. Some fun character interactions. It was just I like this. The first few issues of the Iron Man weren't the greatest. With issue 6 here and moving on, this is moved up very high in the ranks of my favorite comic books. I don't have any like panel of the comic that I usually show you, so I actually am going to show you my favorite panel that I found recently in an X-Men comic book, hence the X-Men t-shirt. This, I think, not only is this badass picture of this is Storm. Thor, for whatever reason, is gone right now, so Loki was trying in circa 1985 or 6 or something like that. So Loki got Eitri to make a new hammer. He's going to give it to Aurora Monroe. This is a pretty cool darn picture there. And then, of course, the sound effect, this is waboom bada boom. Waboom bada boom. There we go. I thought that was pretty darn cool, so I wanted to share it with you. And then the next comic book I'm actually going to share with you is a very special treat. This is one of the gems of my personal collection. I don't think that this is a comic book probably not a lot of people know about. This is Spider-Man Marvel Team Up issue 74, Spider-Man and the Not Ready for Primetime Players. And that it would be the cast of Saturday Night Live circa 1978. So this issue contains Dan Aykroyd, Jane Curtin, Jim Belushi, Grant Morris, Bill Murray, Lorraine Newman, and Gilda Radner, which I mean, once I discovered that this comic book existed, I had to search it out. I searched many stores. I probably paid more than your average comic book cost for it, but I mean, come on, this was just what you had to do. They're a pretty good character. I know that's Gilda Radner. Pretty sure that's Dan Aykroyd there. Jim Belushi. And so Mary Jane and Peter Parker want to go to a taping of Saturday Night Live. They show up just in time. Who would be hosting but none other than Stan Lee himself. So this was kind of a ridiculous comic book in all reality. This was definitely a publicity stunt to get, the Saturday Night Live teamed up with Spider-Man. There's Jane Curtin, I believe. It was some villains sent Jim Belushi, who plays a samurai character in Saturday Night Live, some artifacts. So the Silver Samurai goes and gets it back from him. Everyone thinks it's a joke, so like Jim Belushi is fighting the Silver Samurai in his samurai costume. This is, I just thought this definitely is a funny comic book, a humorous comic book. I recommend it to anyone who can get their hands on one. I've only ever seen the one. I bought it immediately. I thought it was great. So, that's my Talking Comics today. Hope you all enjoyed it. But until next time, I'm done with this conversation.